Were you always this expressive that you are today?
You took my hands.
Like,
as a child, I have memories of my mom saying, "You don't talk, you just draw." But I did 20 years of branding. So it's what I've done. But I lived in London,
Yeah.
and I wasn't prepared to be a struggling artist, but it had layers of paint, and they kept it in the school for like 15 years because it was so out of the box of what people were just doing their line drawings. Have rawness, have roots,
Yes,
have
yes. Culture. Yes.
And I'll write, and I'll write, and I'll write over it, and I'll write, and it's completely guts. So my learning experience here is like now I'm here.
Yeah.
If it's 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, I don't care.
Welcome back to Chase Those Dreams. In today's episode, we have a truly special guest, Michele Cade Khelifi, an intuitive calligraphy artist living in Dubai. Michele's journey started in the world of branding after graduating from Central St. Martin's in London, but it was during her time in Hong Kong that she rediscovered her love for painting. Deeply inspired by Chinese calligraphy, Michele now explores the art of writing as a powerful tool for self-expression and reflection. Through her unique calligraphy, she taps into the delicate balance between revealing and concealing our innermost thoughts. Her work delves into existential questions and our relationship with personal vulnerabilities. Join us as we dive into Michele's incredible creative process and discover how she layers her thoughts through transparent mediums and intuitive writing.
Hi, Michele.
Hi.
Good morning. How have you been?
Good.
How's
Good.
2024 treated you so far?
Good. There's been busy periods, quiet periods, exciting,
Yes.
deceptive, like it's good. I'm
That's
looking
an
forward
artist's
to,
life.
of course, right? You're busy when you have the work.
It's a good thing when you're busy, you're like, oh, I have all these things to do. I have deadlines. And then suddenly you don't have stuff to do. You're like, okay, I can breathe now. And 2
Yes.
days after, they're like, oh shit, can I have something
but
to
you
do?
need to know that something is going to come. And when it's quiet, you keep on working, you keep on moving, you keep on not thinking, right?
Yes. Before we get into all why Michele is today,
Yes.
I think we should talk a little bit about what began
Yes.
to evolve this Michele that we are seeing today.
Yeah.
So how did this side of you come into existence, thinking that, art is somehow a part of your life since you were little? Was there a reason? Was there a...
Art was always like, as a child, I have memories of my mom saying, "You don't talk, you just draw." So my sister would, if we had something to say to our parents,
Yes.
she'd write it and I would draw it, like that was my way of expressing myself.
Yes.
I don't like conflict. I don't like talking too much about personal things. I would be through art.
Yes.
So that's always been my way of communicating. And I guess like most artists, right? It's always been something, their way of expressing themselves.
Yes.
And I wanted to be a writer when I was a kid.
Okay.
But not to write stories, but just because I liked writing. So all these things that now I'm looking back on and going, well, that makes sense, right? That I'm doing this now.
Yes.
Because as a kid, it was just me. It was just a part of me. And
Did you get extra marks or credits for good handwriting when you were in school?
yes, I did. But I went to a French school. So because French handwriting is very important,
Okay.
right? And they would always criticize the way I held my pen.
Really?
And my mom would as well, going, "You won't be able to write." And I'm like, now this is what I do. I write. So irrelevant. And I would hold it anyway. And it was just something that I tried to perfect. I'd do the eyes with a dot, or it was conscious way of writing. I was
Yes.
always, how can I
Yeah.
make the E look good? Or,
There was always this little bit of thing that you need to do this for.
it's funny,
time to
but it's
come.
funny that now I'm looking back and it makes sense. Like I could be doing any kind of art, but it's writing, and it's always been something that has been important to me
Yes.
without realizing, right?
Yes.
So I think art has always been, I feel like it's always been what I should be doing,
Yes.
right? It was never, my parents, thank God my parents saw that and they encouraged it. And
The most important when you are little to have that kind of a backing, right?
completely. And I went to a French school, as I said, and they're very academic and they put you in boxes. And so that's fine to a certain age.
Yes.
So I played the game, I was
Yes.
fine.
Yes.
But as soon as I became teenager, a bit rebellious, answering back, wanting to understand, why do I need to know that
questioning.
Kings of France, like I live in London, it's not relevant. Why do I need to? They wouldn't answer, you just need to learn. So I started to not fit in that box. And I started to do more art, and I found my little haven, a bit like the studio. It was the art room at the top of the building in the school. And there was this fantastic art teacher that I'm still in contact with now, who was my agony aunt. And I would go up and I would just, blah, and it would be my haven. And it would just be amazing. So I felt like already this is where I should be. Like I loved going to this class. It was just, it had an old bath. It was like an old apartment in this school. And it was just amazing. So for me, it was a key moment of this is where I'm happy.
Yes.
So my parents were completely supportive. This is, okay, I'm going to apply to art school. And it was, the school was so academic. So they would tell me I'd work. I said, I'm going to do art. They're like, no, so be prepared to work at Tesco's in the supermarkets. I was like, okay, well, then I want it more, I'll show you. I'll show you that.
Yeah.
And this English, she was an English, long brown hair, amazing, kind of a hippie, and contradicted totally the French education. And it was just, it was. I didn't have to create it, thank God, this space. It was there. It was there for those who wanted it, And I wonder if it's still there. I don't know. I know she's retired, but
hopefully there's a younger Michele trying to figure out something in that space.
I hope every school has these spaces, that can push and show that there's another side to careers. And
true. Were you always this expressive that you are today while you were also little? Were you...
You took my hands?
Like your energy, like we know you being... I can't even say energy because there's something about that. But were you also like that while you were little, or that was something?
Yeah. Like I would be the kids. I'm number 2. So I think they say the second child is always the
flying one, always flying.
I'd answer back. I'd get dressed up. I'd paint my face, but still being shy, right, with my feelings.
Yes.
So I can be like, but then how do I communicate is something that you can have these two sides, right?
Yeah. So at that age, did you still know what your style of art would be? You knew you loved to write, and at that point you still, I'm sure, didn't know calligraphy existed at that point?
No, I didn't know calligraphy. I did, so if I think back to my A-levels, it was very different to what other people were doing, because I didn't do precise figurative. It was always my impression of something. So I remember using so much paint because they had free paint in the school. So I was I layered. We had to do a piece for the GCSE coursework, and I had no idea what I was going to do. So I just took so much paint and I drew a peppercorn grinder, completely random. But it had layers of paint, and they kept it in the school for 15 years because it was so out of the box of what people were just doing their line drawings. And I feel like I was allowed to do that. So no, calligraphy was never. It was always kind of feelings, watching, observing. I've kept some of my pieces, and yes, there is handwriting, but it's like notes in a painting. So I didn't think.
It's quite interesting. You said notes in paintings.
Yes.
And when you see the most of the work that you do, there's always a hidden note, and that started way back. Which is amazing, right?
Yeah. No, but I think if you were to go back and look at, if I had key pieces in my life, you would see a thread.
Yes.
I remember this one piece I did was, because the whole art scene for me was a bit I have to be deep. How am I going to be deep? How am I going to be intellectual? How am I going to... So I remember I was doing an fine art module, and I faked the deepness.
Really?
Yeah, because I was like, I can't... All fine art is deep. There's a hidden meaning. And by faking it, it became actually quite deep.
Yeah.
You
somehow managed to fill that gap of trying to add that.
Because you're I'm just doing what's instinctive to me. But then I have to post-rationalize it, and I have to build this story behind. But then the story was actually quite deep.
Yeah.
So I did this piece on my parents were divorcing when I was 20 or 18. And I was like, okay, well, I have to do a fine art piece about it. So I took my little brother, who was 7 years younger than me, and I would take pictures of him walking home alone, like through a little keyhole thing. And it was just like spying on him. So I would hide, and he'd have his backpack, and he'd look quite sad. And he'd open the door on his own, and he'd cook his food. And it was kind of him alone, because my mom was like dealing with it, and my dad was gone. And it was just, these photos became quite powerful, and I projected them on my blanket. That was my childhood blanket on the wall, and I projected it with a lullaby on loop. And my parents came to see it, and I was like, okay, I just did something to do something, right? And they came to see it, and they were in tears, and they're like, I was like, man, that's powerful, without even, you know, like,
comes
and I was,
from the soul, literally.
yeah, and I was trying to fake it, but it became, and then I saw the power of art, and then I don't want to fake it anymore. Like, whatever comes from me, I thought I had to fake it.
Yes.
I thought I had to add this intellectual layer to my art, because there's so many people that talk intellectually about their art.
Yes.
But in fact, if it comes from you, it's deep, right?
Yes.
Because you have
100%.
your stories behind, and no one can know that. And it's just when you talk about the piece that it makes sense.
It's an expression of you coming through something that is, it's so beautiful.
And but this for me was an eye-opener to fine arts, you know, like, I thought I had to fake it, but
it has to begin somewhere. To feel what you feel now,
Yes.
I think it had to be somehow felt.
But I think there's still that insecurity of, is it deep enough, or is it intellectual enough, or is it, because you hear so many big words when people talk about art, and I'm just not like that. I'm just really raw, and it's what I felt, and you get it, you don't get it, or whatever. It's part of me.
Exactly.
And
that pressure is too crazy to get into, to use
it's a
these.
Game, right?
It's a game. They say that every writer or a poet has to be always drunk to write their best work. And you're like, man, if I don't drink, then I cannot create something which is...
But I do agree that you need darkness.
Yes, to
create. Not always, but when you're dark, like my father passed away almost 2 years ago. And for me, that was, thank God I had art.
Yes,
you know, like, thank God I can write what I'm feeling. My grief was through my words, and through my art, and through my...
Expression needs to come in some way. And I think for creatives, it's an extra tool to use to express through either it's art or pictures or any way of maybe singers or whatever they express somehow. And that's sometimes a good way of expressing and letting your steam out. And
we're lucky to have this, because as creative we have these ways of doing it.
Yes.
But like, I look at my brother and sister, and they're not, and they hold it here. And I think my grief process has been a lot easier.
True, I understand that.
Letting it out, and okay, well, I feel like I've moved on. Well, I haven't, because it's always there, but I had this platform to...
So that was the younger side of Michele doing and figuring out all of these things, right, during that period. But when did it start becoming serious? Because I also know that there is a little bit of your past which includes work in branding and all of this. And was that your first bit of professional work as a career you did? How did you figure out that artist wasn't the thing that you wanted to be full-time?
I did. Yes. I did want to be an artist full-time, but I lived in London, and I wasn't prepared to be a struggling artist, because I liked going out, I liked eating out, I liked spending, and I was like,
money needs to...
I was like, I paid for my studies, I worked from the age of 14, and I'm like, I don't think I can live in a squat. Well, this is the idea I had of an artist, right?
Yes.
I don't want to live in East London in a warehouse squat and not be able to eat. I like going out. So it's
living
like, how can I do this and still be creative? So at college I had to choose, and I went to graphic design, and I was like, okay, well, graphic design is commercial art, right? You're still creative, but you're getting paid by projects, and it's still storytelling, it's still building an idea.
Money is there.
Money, you get paid, and there's a career path in a way, right? So but it's not what I always wanted to do, no. Because I don't like computers. So it was always a bit of an issue. But I did 20 years of branding. It's what I've done. So, yeah.
So imagine not loving computers, not enjoying the process, but still doing that for that period of time still speaks that,
Yeah, but I'm passionate about it, right?
Literally.
So I started graphic design. We didn't have computers. We had one in the college that we had to queue up. I was doing photocopies, and it was great because it was creative, right? So you're cutting out, you're letter setting, you're creating a new logo, not from a computer. So I loved that.
Yes.
But as soon as we had to use computers, I was like, man, there's something in between me and the results. And it's not me controlling it. If I'm not techie, which I'm not, someone else can do it better. But anyway, and I was getting outshone by students that had the best computers or the best technical things. And the final result was so beautiful, but the idea I didn't think was strong. So it's this balance between technology and ideas, right?
Yeah.
So this is what kept me in branding, because my clients were all, so in London, I was in agencies, but when I moved to Hong Kong, it was my business, and I was creating brands with the owners of the brand.
Okay.
So you're there from the start, and you're creating their vision, and it's so creative, and you're storytelling, and and the passion was there, and the contact with the people, I loved it.
It's in your alley. Everything that you love was,
I still would do it, but I just don't want to be on the computer doing it. So I would still like to create someone's story. I still love that.
Yeah.
But it's just that screen in between the result and me was what frustrated me a lot.
Yeah. So before even it became serious, right? Was there an artist you followed for style, or was there some inspiration, or was there any kind of normally people growing up, they look up to something, there's an artist they look up to saying, oh, I love her style, his style.
You know what? I'm really bad at that. I remember in all my interviews, they're like, so who's your I love a lot of different artists, so I can't even
name. Fair enough.
I like Peter Saville for graphics. I liked, I like my big inspiration was my dad as well, because he had a silk screen factory. So in London, I grew up going to his factory, and it was handmade silk screens. So there would be a team drawing on the screens, or drawing on paper, transferring it to a screen. Choosing the colors, and there was a smell of colors, and there was all the rolls of fabric that we used to hide in with my sister. And just being around this. And I remember, it sounds so cliche, but my dad was like, oh, all this could be yours. And I was like, oh my God, I could be in this world. He's allowing me to be in this world. Then he lost the company, whatever. But textiles has always been there. So I think, again, that's another thread. Why am I doing...
No, that's right here an inspiration which leads to the kind of style of work. You love to touch and feel everything that you work on. And that comes from, now when you explain this, it makes sense.
Why? I would buy new clothes, and my dad would always come and touch it and go, oh, that's synthetic, or that's a mix. And I always have this, now when I'm buying fabrics, I always have this link back to him touching my fabrics and dyeing fabrics. And the process, like a lot of my art, is with a squeegee. So dragging the ink across the canvas or the sheet or whatever is kind of a link again to my dad, and it just feels right.
Also the colors, you can see you work on wood, you work on textile, it's all of these, and the colors keep soaking into it and changing into so many other things. And that again comes back to you seeing all of this in the factory, the way colors are made. So it makes so much.
Amazing. It's growing up, the sound of the screens being cleaned, and there was an Italian guy, Giovanni, I remember, and he would sing and mix the colors, and it was just so alive. And it's how amazing to have seen this world. So many people grow up not knowing there's this whole creative universe that you can be part of, and they were making fabrics for Vivienne Westwood. So it wasn't like it was a proper job, right? It was a proper business. It was handmade patterns, and it was just amazing. And I'm grateful for having grown up like that, and having had their trust in letting me do what I wanted to do. Not like, you're going to be a lawyer, you're going to be
True, that's so important.
She's obviously not going to be a lawyer.
She's Michelle, she's going to be.
She's obviously not.
And you have converted the space with that similar vibe, because whenever we are here coming to see you, you're always explaining to us, saying, this is made of this, and this is what color does to it. And it feels like you are literally getting so much information out of everything when we are here to just,
Yes.
see what's happening, what's the kind of thing. So it makes so much sense now why all of that is, part of you so naturally,
Yeah, and like when you're asking me how did my art become like this?
Yes.
It's not conscious.
Yes.
Like it's not like I decided, okay, I'm going to stop doing branding.
Yeah.
And I'm going to start making this
Yes.
style because
Yes.
of, no, it's just, I was doing branding. So I lived in Hong Kong for 12 years.
Yes.
And again, that was an inspiration to me without knowing.
Yeah.
You're there, you're seeing things every day, you're seeing Chinese New Year, so they do calligraphy in the streets and they're like, ask you to write a wish and they'd write it in Chinese. Obviously, sadly, I can't speak or can't read Mandarin, which is a big regret. I didn't know I was going to be there for 12 years. Had I known, I would have invested.
Yeah.
But so seeing these guys so focused, writing in the streets with the noise, the chaos of Hong Kong around them, just in this motion of writing, for me is like so inspiring. It became like a meditation, and you're watching them going, I have no idea what he's writing, but I love this. And I love the ritual and I love the respect they give to calligraphy in China and Hong Kong. And the shops that you can find all these inks and these papers and these brushes. And it's just another whole world that obviously now you can see because I'm using Chinese inks and I get into my motion of writing.
Yes.
So
and also the colors, little bit of the red and the blue, I think is inspired from...
the red would be, the blue is not. The blue is really very basic. My friend gave me like 15 years ago a jar of blue pigment, which I still have because it's so precious. I use it very little. Of bleu majorel, the blue from Marrakesh.
Okay. Yes.
Yes. And I have this powder, and I was like, for years I had it, and I was like, how am I going to use this? Like, what am I going to do with it? And it's just became. I love this blue. Like, I can't get enough of this blue.
It's a very different shade. It's not like, there's no perfect blue, but when you see the blue, you're like, man, this is the blue.
I love it.
It's
but then I became a bit too much blue, so
but from London,
yes,
Hong Kong, that must have been a complete change of everything that your eyes is seeing, right? Like for an artist, it would have been such an
amazing city. We left. I'd never left London. I was 30 years in London. It's home. I'm never going to leave. This is where my family is. They moved there. It was London. You can be from anywhere, but you're from London.
Yeah.
I'm not English. I'm not French. I'm from London.
Yeah.
I'm losing that now.
Yes.
I don't feel so anyway.
Disconnect.
So we moved to Hong Kong thinking it was for 2 years. Big drama, crying, like when are we going to come back to London? But it's for 2 years. 12 years later, we're still there. But you can't compare it to London. You can't compare it to Dubai. It's so, each city has its thing, right? They're so different that you can't compare. And I was just moving there to this, so different, but they speak English, so you feel not too alienated, right? But the smells, the noise, the energy, it's raw.
Yeah.
It's a city of contrast. You have nature, which I never thought was so green. And then you have these high rises, super modern. And then you have this granny pushing a trolley with her hunchback up a hill and working, or these men without t-shirts with their bellies out. And you're like, wow, this is humanity. This is... it's alive. And I would walk, like I miss that. Walking through the streets and stationery shops everywhere, and you'd buy random things. Like it's a vibrant city. It's an amazing city. So from London to there was exciting. And it was, even for the whole 12 years, I loved it. It was amazing.
I can imagine, I feel compared to London and Dubai, you would fit in Hong Kong in the environment perfectly, knowing how much you can do there.
For me, Hong Kong, I didn't find my space.
Yes.
So I had a studio.
Yes.
So I rented a studio with a friend. We took a space. We're like, okay, let's do the move. We rented it. And then we sublet desks to other creatives. But it was a small space. Rent is expensive as well. It had the same energy. It was in an industrial area.
Yeah.
But I didn't have the space.
Yes.
I didn't find my people.
Yeah.
I didn't find it's a bubble, right? You're an expat in Hong Kong.
Yes.
You're a minority.
Yeah.
So there's 8 million people.
Yeah.
1 million maybe be maximum, the expats,
Yes.
right? And within
Filtering
the
within
expats,
that.
you've got a lot of finance, a
Yes.
lot of luxury, creative, small, but then
Yes.
it's very niche.
Yes.
And do they mix with the locals?
Yes.
We don't mix so
Yes.
much. And that was,
Yes.
for me, something that my biggest regret is that I didn't integrate into Hong Kong people. As we say, Hong Kong people. Like I had maybe one local friend
Really, in all of those
in
years?
12 years.
Wow.
Because it's very separate, very different, culturally very different. And I wished I had learned the language, but then they would speak to me in English. But
Yes.
I really wished I had integrated into their society a little bit more. And this
Yeah.
is what I would like here. I don't know how, I've only been here 2 years.
Yes.
I don't know how easy it is to get to
Yes.
know the Emiratis
Yes.
or the local. So far, it's great.
Yes.
But how,
Yes.
that's one thing I would love to be
Yeah.
more than I was in Hong Kong.
Yeah, because even though you thought you might not stay there for longer, and you
You
did
don't
all
invest,
of this,
right? If you're an
yeah.
expat, if you think it's for 2 years,
Yes.
you're like, okay, I'll
Yeah,
do my
yeah,
thing and
I'm
we're going to
getting out.
leave.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Had I known it was 12 years, I would have really put more roots into. So my learning experience here is like now I'm here.
Yeah.
If it's 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, I don't care. I'm like rooting myself here until I
Yeah.
have to leave.
Yeah.
But no, Hong Kong is amazing.
So how then Dubai came into the picture? Like before all of that, also in Hong Kong, were you creating art at the levels you wanted to, or was it still branding being the priority of
Yes.
your?
Yeah, branding was Michele. People knew me. Michele has a branding agency, or Michele. If you were creating a brand, go see me. You know, like that
Yeah.
was, I was Michele branding. And
Yes.
how do you go from branding to art?
Yes.
And people not think that you're not serious about art, but they were surprised when I started like showcasing my art.
Yes.
People were like, what, you
They
paint?
didn't know at all.
No, like even my close friends, they were like, oh, I didn't know you painted. I was like, well, this is really me. This is true. The branding is fine, but this is, you're seeing me. And
Yeah.
it was a bit annoying when they were surprised. Oh, this is you? Because they hadn't seen it. They hadn't.
Yes.
So coming here allowed me to be me without having the branding baggage.
Yeah, yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But I started maybe really painting during COVID, like typical to most people, right?
Yes.
The branding projects dropped. No one was starting businesses in Hong Kong. We were so locked down.
Yes.
So I was like, how can I get my frustrations out?
Yes.
And it was through art. And then people started to like it. And then I would sell, and then I did a little show. And it was just like, oh, wow, man, I can do this. And I came here and I was like, I don't want to go back to branding. Like people were like, I've got a project. Allow me this space to be me, and maybe I go back to branding at the same time.
Yes. Funny how COVID has been a turning point of so many careers, right?
Yeah.
Like people have taken a leap of faith during that period,
Yes.
saying, forget it, I might never be able to do something like
Totally.
this. And people have converted into doing amazing things after that. But wasn't there a question mark at that point? Because like now money was also part of branding. It was coming in, and now suddenly saying, okay, I'm gonna, COVID being, yes, a part of it where it took away all of that, but then not knowing you're gonna make money through art and sustain everything else. Was there a lingering thought at that
Totally,
point
but
before taking up, this seriously? What if? There's always a what if, right?
Totally. Like, and luckily word of mouth works, right?
Yes.
Luckily you put a painting in someone's house and they're like, who
Yes.
did that? And then you get commissions.
Yes.
And luckily it happened quite quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, finance as an artist is...
Yeah. So we talked about how Michele became, I think, Michele halfway there from London to Hong Kong.
Yes.
At what point now Dubai happens to be like a possibility? What got you to come here? And how does art also come with you and say, this is a region I want to express myself?
To be honest, Dubai was never, ever, ever on my radar. Well, it was on my radar, but it was never somewhere I wanted to live, because I had like a lot of people prejudice and preconceived ideas about Dubai, right? I think the brand image, because of like Dubai bling, it doesn't help. Like these kind of, I'm like, how can I as an artist find soul,
Yes.
like I have in Hong Kong,
Yes.
have rawness, have roots,
Yes.
have
Yes.
this
Culture. Yes.
Like for me, Dubai was like, okay, great, it's a desert, it's
Burj Khalifa, Burj Al Arab.
how will I find the grit? How will I find the inspiration? And we were at one point, I think in 2011, my husband got offered a job here. And I was like, no way, no way. I'm staying in Hong Kong. I love it. We're not moving.
Yes.
We had never been to Dubai on holiday.
Yes.
You know, like Hong Kong, we moved without having been.
Yes.
So we're these kind of people. We're like,
Yes.
okay, well, Hong Kong, why should we even go there? Like, come and check it out before you move.
Yeah.
No, we know.
Yeah.
We know what to expect. Hong Kong is kind of clear.
Yes.
You know. Dubai, you don't know.
Yeah. Because the ads you see is just luxury ads.
Yeah, you don't see the real Dubai, which is a shame, but it's also good because now there'll be too many people coming.
True.
But so we moved because of COVID.
Yeah.
We couldn't.
Yeah.
Like I have 3 kids.
Yeah.
Homeschooling was horrible. I wasn't being able. I couldn't work anymore. It was just like felt like.
Yeah.
I don't know what's the word.
It was all up to your throat.
Yeah, like I couldn't. Anxiety. I'd wake up crying and what if they take my kids away? Because they would take your kids away if they had COVID, you know? It became completely mental. And so in one day, like my husband's like, should we move to Dubai? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. He's like, what? Yes. I was like, yeah, let's do it. We had a friend that lived here for 12 years. She was an artist.
Okay.
She's actually who introduced me to Rabab before she left. So she was here for 12 years and we could see her Instagram. And they kind of showed us that there was another side to do. They had a SUV, like a old Volkswagen camper van. They'd go surfing. She was an artist. I'm like, wow, this exists. What?
Yeah.
So I would follow her and I'm like, okay, well, I would follow her more and more, like curious, you know, like, could I live here? And they loved it. They were here for 12 years. So I was like, yeah, why not? Why not? So we moved, had never been, we saw it on YouTube. So we'd watch YouTube every day and see Burj Khalifa, Burj Al Arab, you know, like, but still YouTube doesn't show you the reality.
True.
We'd follow people walking and they'd show you the tourist spots.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, it's closer to Europe. So I'll see my family more. It's still possible to work with Hong Kong hours if we had projects there.
Yes.
You're in between, let's try.
Yes.
And they were at the top of the list, how good they're dealing with COVID. We were the bottom of the list, you know, like, we're like, okay, well, it's an upgrade.
Yeah.
So we moved completely blind, not knowing, I had no idea I'd find this.
I'm glad you decided to come to Dubai.
Amazing. I like no regrets. And I don't miss Hong Kong because I did 12 years and I'm ready. You know, like every phase, I didn't miss London.
Yeah.
I don't miss Hong Kong. I'm grateful. I loved it. I'll never speak badly about my time.
Yes.
I loved it.
Yes.
And now it's Dubai's time for me, like for so many people.
It's like every face got activated, like London face done, Hong Kong face activated,
exactly.
enjoyed it, and now Dubai face immediately activated and you're enjoying the process.
And I don't know how long. I'm not giving myself a limit this time. So every time you learn something.
Yes.
And thank God I found this space.
Yes.
I had no idea that I would.
Yeah.
It's pure fluke, pure luck.
Piece of puzzles just coming together, right?
My friend was leaving the week after and she was like, before you leave, you have to meet Rabab.
Yes.
She's mama, like everyone loves her. You have to meet her. Whatever you need, she'll help you.
Yeah.
So we came for coffee and I was like, I love this. I feel connection. I loved it. There was no space. I was like, oh. And then a couple of months later, there was a space and I'm like, I'll take it. I don't know how I'll pay for it because it was a lot more expensive than what I was paying in Hong Kong. I was like, I don't know, but I need to. I need to because otherwise I won't feel. I can't settle. Everyone was settled. The kids were in school. My husband was working. I was like, well, I need to.
It was meant to be. Like when
it
you
was
listen
like
to
I feel like it's aligned, and I love Rabab, and like I feel like I found a soulmate, and I am where I should be.
Yes.
I saw a numerologist who told me I am where I should be as
well. I think that's the right way to say it. I
feel like I am where it's an international city. I'm not English. I'm not French. I'm international. So I feel like these are my people. Everyone is from somewhere.
You're a human being.
Yeah, but everyone is from somewhere here, right? And it's a cliche again. But Dubai is this melting pot. And the shift is no longer in the West. It's here. And I feel that my husband being Algerian, we're closer to his culture. The kids see their culture. I love this culture. I grew up in London where we had Edgware Road, and I would go and have shisha and after clubbing, you know, like I know this culture. I feel comfortable here. Like I
And you're
am.
in between of all of this
Yeah,
now.
I love it. I love it. And I love Alcoz is the rawness that I wanted.
Yes,
You know, like I didn't know they had this. And I like driving past and seeing different people, different classes, different, you know, like, but everyone's working.
Yes.
Everyone has this drive and you kind of go with it. It's like a river and you jump in and you're, don't know where it's going to lead.
True.
And I'm
you can
very
only
grateful.
agree. You can only agree on
I'm
this.
grateful. It's only 2 years, but so far,
Yes, that's the most important. That's the most important. When you don't find a reason to say I did not like something, that itself
but I
is
think
a
I'll
win.
be happy. I think me and my husband are the kind of people that will be happy wherever, you know, like we find every time we travel, we're like, oh, I can live here. I can live there, you know, like, so I feel that I have that in me.
Yeah.
But Dubai made it easy for me to love the city.
Yes.
You know?
True. So now we have Michele in Dubai.
Yeah.
And I think it's time for us also to talk a little bit about art. We talked about a lot of things, but the most interesting for me is, you know, the art that you do, the calligraphy. Yes, it's been, you know, part of you since a little girl, but now you have taken it to a level where it is on walls. You can see it in people's homes and all of this, right? And you always, I feel your art's always an expression of you where you want to say a lot of things and you hold back a lot because you know you can't say the things that you want to always say. And you can see that in your art. So how do you process all of this on a piece of art? Like, you know, when you're working on something, what's the thought processes? Is there hidden secrets that you always want to share through art, even though you don't want to say it verbally? Is there things that goes on to these things while you are working on art, or?
I can't say there's a plan.
Yes.
Like no piece
Never
has a plan.
is, yes.
There's never like, I can't sketch. So if a client will say, can you sketch an idea of a brand? Yeah, fine. I'll do a logo. I'll do different versions. Can you do a sketch of the painting you're going to do for my home? I really can't.
Yeah.
So that I can show you the colors. I can show you, look up my portfolio in a way.
Yes.
This is what I do. But for you, it will be different to this, but you'll know it's from me, right?
Yeah.
So I can't do a sketch. It will never be exactly the same because it's the mood I'm in on that day.
True.
It's the thoughts where my mind is on that day.
Yes.
And so the idea, why do I block it out?
Yeah.
Started in Hong Kong actually during COVID, and Hong Kong was always independent in the press, in the thoughts, in the protests. And gradually you started to lose that freedom. I know we all had our experiences of COVID and lockdown.
Yes.
But Hong Kong was intense. And you were living in this anxiety and hope that it was going to change. So it was writing these thoughts and then blocking them out. Am I allowed? Am I not? Is that too personal? Am I sharing too much? So this is how it kind of starts.
Yeah.
Of self-censorship. Because they weren't censoring yet.
True.
Like it didn't get down to me.
Yeah.
But I was aware of there were certain things that I couldn't say with the system, but also with me and my feelings, right? Sometimes you don't want to share that you're not feeling good. Sometimes you don't want to share that you have sleepless nights or your child is...
There's a lot of expectations out of you wherein you are like always having to be at the top of a game.
Yeah, but you're not. Like I've got 3 kids and my son was 1 during COVID. So it was, I wasn't sleeping and I was like, man, I hate this life, you know, like I dread night times, but can I share that? Because then if they read it, they're going to
questioning motherhood and
I'm
this
like, oh my
and
gosh.
that.
So it was questions and then I'd rub them out and then I'm like, oh man, this is quite interesting.
Yes.
But it wasn't like, oh, this is what my art's going to become. I hadn't thought it out. It was just, I don't want to say therapy. I don't want to say journaling because I don't like my art to be referred to as journaling because it kind of, I feel like it downgrades it a bit because, but it is in a way. It's writing my thoughts. What can I share? What can I not share? And we all have this.
Yes.
We all can relate to this kind of idea of oversharing.
Yes.
Like Instagram, right?
Yes.
Like how much of our lives we're showing the best, right?
We never share the downtime,
No,
right?
we don't, and people are starting to. But it's also what this image I want to be seen as. Do I want to share this? You think twice about a picture you're putting on, right?
True.
Well, I'm thinking twice about a thought.
True.
It's the same. So a photo or a word.
Yes.
A word has power as much as an image, right? So is that word too powerful? Yeah, I'll rub. You know, like I'll rub it out. I'll censor it. I'll self-censor. So it's this kind of relationship we have with how much we're willing to put out there.
Yeah.
And I think this is constantly, all of us do that when we're on Instagram. Should I post? Should I not?
Yes. So true.
And
it's always you have edited everything, you have typed everything, you're just thinking so much before you hit post, making sure that
exactly, like it's,
which shouldn't be the case. Imagine you going through so much, worrying about, like, every time I'm about to post something, I'm thinking about, is it going to offend anybody somewhere in the world who I don't even know?
Totally.
But that thought itself has been put into us so deep that we are forced to, give that so much of a thought.
Which is a shame, right? Because it's so fake.
Literally.
It's a fake
There's
world,
no expression.
but we all have to play it because that's our platform to show our...
Yeah, you have to fit in to be part of something.
Yeah.
Or else you don't get to be part of it.
Yeah,
It's like that.
It's an image. We all have to have your own brand, right?
Yes.
But then my art, I don't think. So the process now is I just write.
Yeah.
And I'll write and I'll write and I'll write over it and I'll write, and it's completely guts and it's completely raw, and it's just become now, it's completely personal. And I hope that people can see my work and then find a word or something that's relating to their lives, and then they create their own stories.
Yes.
But this is all me. And
it's because every time I come into the studio, I always tend to look at things and you just tend to want to see. And I've told you this so many times, I always find faces in your work.
Yes.
And that's crazy because it just happens every time. And that's also something you said you don't intentionally do. And every time I'm like, and we're just looking at it and you're like, this is a face. And then you find another one and you realize that didn't mean to happen, but it's there. And it always, because yesterday I was just thinking of, what are we going to talk about, art? And I was like, I know I'm not going to figure out why it pops in, but there should be some kind of,
I don't know, but I also let them. So I'm working a lot on raw fabrics now.
Yes.
So as you said, the ink will spread.
Yes.
We don't know where it's going to go, but I like that because I work on the floor. I'm not the tidiest person. I've never been. So my art maybe became messy because I'm messy. Like even at school, you wouldn't have a precise face because I might have smudged it, But then it becomes very me, right?
Yeah.
And it's authentic to me. So I'll work on the floor, I'll step on it, I dance on it, I live with my pieces. I want them to become not pristine.
Yes.
I want them to be raw. I want them to be my energy in them. I want the people who have them in their home have my energy.
Yeah.
Whether it's a happy one at that day or a sad one, or like I feel we do transmit energies.
The
right?
mood shows in that work. Like,
exactly.
Oh, Michele was
so
maybe...
the rawness of the fabric, the torn, I tear my canvases, I tear my fabrics, I step on them,
Yes.
But the ink has its own life. Like the face appears, I don't know. Maybe someone's trying to tell me something, I don't know. But now I'm going to play with that a little bit more. I'm going to let there be a conversation between me and the medium, Like if something appears, well, let me play with that a little bit more.
Yes.
Let me listen to it a little bit more. Let me connect more with the material. I don't know. Like it's a relationship kind of thing.
It's so interesting, right? Like it's when from the outside, when you listen to it, it feels like, what is this? But when you just have to put that person in front of that and say, can you, and then be like,
there's a person.
Shit, that is, so also now we have come to a point where now we have figured out Dubai is the place you want to be, and Dubai is the place you want to explore art and the artist that you are. How do you play this game of now reaching out the right clients, finding the right clients? So how does this thing work for you in the region where, end of the day, we all artists creatives need to at some point make money, right? That is the
course.
goal. How do you now sell the art you love making?
Still trying to learn. I'm trying to see where I fit in
Yeah.
this ecosystem. Like yesterday we had a talk about it. I don't know where I fit in. Maybe I don't.
Yeah.
But it's a space that I can create and maybe sell elsewhere, you know?
I think that's the right thing, creating your own.
Yeah, like I'm happy here creating. I find the good energy here creating. Am I a good fit for the Dubai art scene? There is people, yes, because all my art that I'm selling is here, right? So there are people that like my art.
Yes.
But I'm not going via galleries. I'm going via word of mouth by putting the piece of art in the right home.
Yes.
So the people that go to that home are more effective than going to a gallery. For me, gallery you go, you don't necessarily connect with the pieces. In someone's home you do. So for me, the most powerful advert for my work is in someone's home. And they connect and they sell it for you because they have a connection to this piece and they love it because it's in their home, right? So what's better, like this is my branding experience, word of mouth is the most powerful advert, right? You're not going to pay for an advert. You can put a beautiful ad in a magazine, but I don't connect to that, right? But if it's in someone's home, they'll tell the story for me better than me. They'll sell me better than me. They'll tell me why they feel connected. And then you want a piece of that. You know, like if you like it, if you connect to it, but then you're sold, right? And then you'll see if you can have a commission. So this is how I'm getting my work. It's always from someone's house. They seen it, they wondered who did that, and then they're my agents. So this is my strategy, is trying to get it in the right homes to then be my agents. Because finding an agent is the dream, right?
But also...
But it comes at a cost.
Yes, exactly.
Finding a gallery comes at a cost. They want a share of everything, right? So maybe that's not the right match for me. Like I've tried it, it didn't work. So I think at the moment, I'm happy here creating. I'm happy here putting it in people's homes. And hopefully that will, like you were saying, time. I've been here 2 years. So the
process has just begun.
Right? Like I feel like I have faith. I have faith in what I'm doing. It won't please, art doesn't please everyone, right? But I have faith that from the feedback that I'm getting, that there is something, and I'm going to continue being authentic to what I'm doing. And I hope, like, inshallah, it's gonna lead to something great. And I don't know if galleries is the right model for many people now. You know, like I don't know if people buy art that way anymore. I don't know, because I haven't. Like if I bought a piece, I did actually. I did buy a few little pieces. But you need to connect
with the art.
And galleries are so cold that you don't connect. And my work is very personal. So I don't know. But I have done a few shows here. I've done the Biennale, I've done Sika, there is a thirst for something different.
Sika is where I fell in love with your work. Like Sika was where literally it all caught, like the whole Studio 13 and the works that I saw was just something that stayed in my head forever. Like, you know, and I think that's the right thing to say, where you are showing this work. It also matters what space you're showing this work, you know, and what kind of environment the
but
work is going to be like.
But I also arrived not knowing what Sika was, right? I arrive again, is this, should I do this? Should I not? You know, like what's good for me, what's not? Is Sika got good reputation? I don't know, but in fact it was an amazing experience. And it was a great studio, it was a great energy, it was great.
The people experience was just, I think, the best.
It was great, and we were talking to people all the time, we were explaining, we were there. It was great.
Your kind of touch and feel experience where you are in the midst
so hopefully it will happen again. Hopefully we'll have opportunity to do it again. Like it's not pretentious. Sika is real. Like people have perceptions of Sika. They have like, oh, it's really amateur. We have art Dubai. Then that's impersonal. And then Sika, you come and you meet the people. So I like this. You know, like I'm happy. I'm comfortable here. And I don't feel like I'm pretentious in that way. Like Art Dubai, yes, I would love to be in Art Dubai, Art Abu Dhabi, Art Basel. Yeah, great. But
maybe it's not
you're disconnected from it.
Yeah.
So maybe in 10, I don't know, like I'll take everything, right?
Yeah. There's a phase maybe
Any
for that at
exposure's
some
great.
point.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I like being connected to my art. So I mustn't rush it.
Yeah.
I mustn't
Yeah.
try and
True.
skip steps, which I
True.
get impatient. Like we were talking,
Yes.
just mustn't be impatient.
Yes.
Like we will have our time.
Yeah.
It's a
process, right?
It's a process.
Yeah.
And I have faith.
Yes.
Like I'm being authentic to my art, and I'm just going to continue, you know, like even with the self-doubts like we all have. Am I doing the right thing? Should I be doing this? Should I, oh, look at their work.
Comparison always plays that.
Comparison is awful. And you're like, I'm not good enough. I'm not. But if you shut all that off and you just do what you love doing, I think that's
Magic
yeah, and it
happens.
will come through, right?
Yeah.
And it will be authentic and it will be unique in your own tone. And yes, other people write.
Yes.
Other people do
Yeah.
work similar
Yeah.
to this.
Yeah.
But it's not my stroke.
Exactly.
Like you were saying, you know if
Exactly.
someone's edited your movie
Yeah.
and it's not you,
Yeah.
someone can notice it's not your
Exactly.
eye. Well, you're not going to see my stroke. So I'm feeling comforted by that, you know, like you will know that it's not me.
Literally.
I will know it's not me.
It's being authentic to yourself makes the most, I think, important parts of your career is where, you know, you don't want to become something else because that's going to give you a little bit of, you know, that's where maybe that's a quick kind of step that you might skip a few steps and jump over and get whatever you get, but then that's going to be very short term because you're going to quickly.
But we go through these self-doubts. Well, maybe I should do that. Maybe I should be that kind of art. Maybe I should. But in fact, it wouldn't be me. So as you say, it would be short-lived. This is me. This is my journey. Other people have other journeys. And I have to stop comparing, doubting. But I can write those doubts.
Exactly. Hide it into layers and layers. Yes, it's for you to look and figure out what that is, right? It's like, it's always for the other person to say, you go and look for it, you know, you'll find it.
Exactly.
So also, like, for an artist, does it pressure you to, you know, play the social media game, to put yourself out there? Because, you know, now, if you're not in galleries, then you have to be somewhere showcasing your art, because not everyone would have access to Michele every day. Not everybody would have access to the studio to come and see what. There needs to be a space where they see what has been Michele up to see you growing also as an artist. And that comes to social media, and everyone gets pressured into this thing, you know. Your social media pretty much is good. You keep constantly, like, you know, you try your best to keep posting on an everyday of what's going on. But is that coming out of pressure, or is it something that you enjoy doing generally, or, you know, because
no, I don't feel pressure.
Yeah.
But I do.
Yeah.
Because that's my only window, right?
Yes.
It's my only. I think we all go through. Should I format it? Should I do this? Should it be organized every Monday? Do this? I can't. That's not me. Again, that's not me. I'm not that organized. Like I can't. So if there's a picture of me dancing, it's just okay. Well, I was in a mood. So I want to show that I was dancing because this is me. And but I won't do if someone can't shoot me dancing. Like it won't work. It has to be me.
It's like, hidden camera.
I feel comfortable when it's just me. This is my little. So I'm showing, and we do always have self-doubts. Should I post that? Does that look professional enough, or do I look like an amateur? Whatever, I don't care, because I'm looking at artists like, okay, totally different league to me. Tracy Emming, amazing, and I followed her from London. You know, like I grew up with her, and I grew up following her career. And she's so true now, like on Instagram, you know, like she always has been, but I like that. And it's not curated. And it's not, and all these artists who are authentic and they've been constant for 20 years, they're authentic. It's not a fad. It's not something that's following a trend. Like I'm not going to do these reels that follow a trend. Because I feel like that's not, I'm following a trend, so I should follow a trend with my art. Well, no, like I feel like I'm consistent. I feel like you see my Instagram, you meet me, it makes sense, right?
Same.
Yeah, like I don't want it to be planned.
Your energy converts exactly the same what you see on social media. That's what you see.
And when you meet me as well, and I hope, you know, like I've never played a game. I'm very honest. I'm very direct. I'm very So I hope that will come across and it will build, you know,
Yes.
like my social media will build.
Yes.
And I don't know how to get more people.
Yeah.
Like I'm not studying
Yeah.
it. I should,
Yeah.
because I'm kind of stagnant. Like
Yeah.
I need to be out there more. I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
So I'll find it. It'll happen.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I can't play the game. I should be tagging. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to play the art game.
Yeah,
That's my problem. I don't know how to play the game.
Because I think this period is for you to figure out what you want to do. Everything else, I think, is supposed to just happen around it.
Yeah.
I think that's also one important bit we forget. We play all the unnecessary bits around and we forget what we started for.
Yeah, exactly.
And by the time you figured all of these things, you forget that this was the reason you began everything, and it's too late by then. So it's rather concentrate on art and say that things will fall around it automatically. I think that's where you kind of are right now.
Exactly. But then you hear other people saying you need to post reels every day. You need to post this. You need to. I'm like, but if I do that, I'm not making.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I'm thinking of what I'm posting and then it's fake because I'm setting it up.
There's a certain hours in a day you can do something, right? Like you cannot say that I'm going to block in a whole day just to create now social media for myself so that I can. That's a day lost from things that you could have actually done.
And also you don't want to overshare because you don't want people to replicate, to fake you, right?
That's another.
So then you're like, okay, should I show my process or should I not?
True.
Because if I show my process, someone else is going to do it and they're going to do it better, or they not. Then you become this like, the self-doubt comes back in.
True, yeah.
So it's a tool. It will help me. It's helped me. People tagged that helped me meet certain people. But again, patience.
Yes, exactly. Everything should be, I think, at an arm's length where, you are just having everything around, but you're reaching out when you need it.
Yeah. And also it will happen. Like someone will see it when they need to see it. I believe in the universe. I believe in this energy. And I believe that if it's my time, it's my time. If it's not, I'll keep doing as long as I can afford to.
Yes.
I'll keep making my art. Like my dream is to retire and have a house. Not now, obviously.
Yes.
When I'm old. To keep making art in a little house by the sea. This is my end game. Like
that was a question I was coming to actually. Like I wanted to have the last question being, so what's Michelle's future looking like, imaginary, or what you want it to be like for you as an artist, for you as a mom, as a wife, as everything.
Yes.
How does your future look like as a complete circle with everything being part of, this, you just talked about this house. And so what's that dream looking like?
You were saying, Michelle, as a mother, as a wife, as an artist,
yes.
It's like, what's the hierarchy in who I am also, right?
Yes.
This has also been my thoughts.
Yes.
It's like, what am I first and foremost?
Yes.
Is it a wife? Is it a mother? Is it an artist?
Yeah. That's such a tough question
it's
also
true,
to me.
Right? Yeah. But I'm an artist from
whole and whole.
Forever.
Yes.
Right? A mother, I've always, growing up, always wanted to be a mother.
Yes.
A mother is the hardest thing that I've...
Yes.
It's my biggest struggle, my biggest weakness to me. My art, I'm confident because it's me. It feels very true. A mother, I have more doubts about my abilities.
3 hearts you can't break, so it's not like you have.
And I feel more insecure about my choices as a mother than my choices as an artist, right? Artist is just intuitive.
Yes.
It feels totally natural. Mother, for me, is a big insecurity.
Yeah.
So where would I like to be? What's success for me in 5-10 years is have happy kids that become happy adults. For me, that's my biggest success.
Yeah.
Regardless of that, take myself, Michelle, as an artist.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, like all artists, you want your art to be seen, right? You kind of need people to go, oh, I like that. Well, that's why we're making things, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, we're not going to lie to ourselves.
Yeah, 100%.
We need that kind of pat on the back going, I like what you're doing.
Yeah.
I do it for myself, but I also want people to see it, right?
Yes.
So what would I like in 5-10? I would like my art to be seen by more people.
Yeah.
I don't know how that will happen.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's in a gallery, in a show, in a 5 years on from that, when my kids are adults and out, where would I be? Happily living in a little house by the seaside, making art. With my husband, happy making art. Like I'm always going to be making something, and like I have to make.
Yes.
And so happy kids out of the house. confidence. I did a good job.
Yes.
Like pat on the back.
Yes.
Art is consistent, like it's just the thread that will still be
Yes.
there.
Yeah.
So this will keep me
Yeah.
fulfilled,
It sounds so much like you. And the energy, just imagine you could just dance around in the beach, you have a
I would
house in the
love it.
back.
I need water.
And
I need
it
water.
would
I've
just
lived
be,
by water my whole life. So I
Yeah.
realized that I need,
yeah,
love the desert, but I need the sea.
Yeah.
I need this energy, this element of water.
Yeah.
Maybe the blue is linked to that.
I think that's giving you a sign that, that's where
Maybe.
the end goal is
Yeah,
at some
yeah.
point. You will only know.
Yes.
Maybe there'll be time for us to talk about this in a few years.
Yeah.
But Michele, thank you so much
Thank
for
you so
making the
much.
time and sharing a story that I think most of us didn't know. And now we know, Michele, truly why this energy is converted into this living being.
Can't stop thinking.
And at least for me, I know that the amount of love that you put into whatever you do is only going to generate into something truly precious.
I hope so.
And the time has to come. Like we are just, all of us are just manifesting something amazing to happen this year. So it has to.
Yeah.
But I so appreciate your time for today.
Thank you.
And
you very much.
thank you so much for everything that you have talked about and everything that you're going to do. I think we are all going to see it coming across.
Thank you. It was great. Much less...
It was easy.
Easy, yes. Comfortable.
Yeah, comfortable. Thanks a lot. Thank you.